95. That's our current temp at 93.5, 1590. WAKR. Always look forward to Friday morning. We go to film school. My good friend Joe Fortunato with us. 93.5, 1590 WAKR. And today we're going to bring in, and Joe's going to talk about a movie, and I call it a remote dropper. Every time I see this one on, I've got to stop and watch it. It makes me chuckle in so many different ways. So with that being said, let's bring him in. Joe Fortunato, film study professor. Joe, it is all yours, my friend.
Well, good morning, Ray. Good morning, everybody. And we're going to get a little jump on the holidays here and look back at the 30th anniversary of Home Alone, which we tend to think of as a Christmas movie because it is. But it was actually released in November of 1990. So we're celebrating the 30th anniversary of its release this week. And it was directed by the great Chris Columbus, written by the great John Hughes. And it stars, of course, Macaulay Culkin, Catherine O'Hara, Joe Pesci, Daniel Stern, John Hurd. This was, at one point in time, the fourth highest grossing film in history of all films, which is pretty remarkable for a relatively small Christmas movie. It did have 2 Oscar nominations for Best Original Score and Best Original Song. I'll talk a little bit about John Williams momentarily, but really few holiday movies have embedded themselves in the pop culture like Home Alone. You know, it's a family comedy that becomes a global phenomenon and turns an 8-year-old Macaulay Culkin into the biggest star in the world. It was written in just 9 days by John Hughes and then gone on to be directed by Chris Columbus, as I mentioned. And it was the highest grossing live action comedy of all time for more than 20 years. So it really was an impressive run for such a small family film. And it is sort of the perfect blend of John Hughes' warmth and Christopher Columbus's family directing, a family-friendly direction, and John Williams' iconic score, and really a once-in-a-generation child performance by Macaulay Culkin. Macaulay Culkin was Hughes's first and really only choice. He had written Home Alone with Macaulay Culkin in mind after he worked with him on Uncle Buck. You'll remember Macaulay Culkin was one of the cast members of Uncle Buck. So he kind of wrote it with Macaulay Culkin in mind. Now, he did, for fairness, I guess, audition more than 200 other kids, but admitted that Culkin was really his one and only choice. And Culkin improvised some of the film's biggest moments, including the iconic aftershave scream when he throws some aftershave on his face and screams into the mirror, which is one of the iconic moments of the film, even on the movie poster. That was ad-libbed by Culkin. Talking more about some casting for the villains of Harry and Marv, Joe Pesci wasn't the first choice. In fact, the list of actors for the role of Harry is pretty much a who's who of 80s and 90s actors. De Niro, Danny DeVito, Christopher Lloyd, Phil Collins, even Rowan Atkinson's Jack Nicholson was mentioned, Kevin Kline. So a lot of those guys might have done some interesting work, but of course Joe Pesci was great. For Marv, Tim Robbins was considered for that role before Daniel Stern, who actually turned it down and then came back to it for the role of Marv. Pesci, because he was so used to working with Scorsese in his movies, had a cursing habit, as you might imagine. So he had a bad habit of accidentally cursing on his take. So Columbus told him to say fridge instead of the more offensive F word. More casting. Catherine O'Hara is Kate and the mom. There was a roster of actresses that were also considered for that. Sigourney Weaver, Glenn Close, Gina Davis, Jamie Lee Curtis. Some outliers. Madonna was actually on that list. Carrie Fisher, Jodie Foster. So quite a bit of actors there. But Catherine O'Hara really has the right vibe for that film. The John Candy part, who was not originally written in the film, that was entirely improvised. He filmed his scenes in sort of a 23-hour marathon day, kind of as a favor to John Hughes, and did everything as he improvised his role as the Polka King Gus Polinski in that film. I'll pause for a second in case you had anything.
No, you got me chuckling in here because every time you're bringing something up, I'm just like, because this movie just makes me laugh. And John Candy's role, I was laughing every time he came on the screen. So yeah, go ahead and continue, John.
Well, I mentioned John Williams earlier, and the movie actually tested poorly with audiences originally, but after they added John Williams' score, the test scores increased 500%. And so, Williams, they said, rescued the films. That's almost hard to believe, although I've heard similar stories with Jaws, but you kind of think of that with, like, the score of Jaws and not so much Home Alone, but John Williams comes in and saves the day again. Another kind of addition to the story was Old Man Marley, who wasn't originally in the script, and Columbus added the character in a rewrite to give the film sort of a more emotional grounding, which I think really succeeded in that as well. Originally, Warner Brothers had this project, but when the budget exceeded $10 million, they planned to shut it down, and John Hughes secretly had a back deal with 20th Century Fox to get ready to pick it up, and Fox greenlit it immediately, and it led to one of the most profitable movies of the decade, as I've already mentioned. At one point in time, it trailed only E.T., Star Wars, and Ghost as all-time worldwide box office.
Yeah, it's kind of, it's funny, as I was mentioning a moment ago, just chuckling listening to Joe's description here, but there's a little bit of everything in there, right? There's family, there's hustle and bustle. I think we can all relate to the holidays of running around and, oh gosh, I forgot about this. And in this instance, the family forgets about their kid. So it certainly was a hit. Did the other ones, Joe, stack up financially, the other Home Alones, to this one or not?
Well, they were certainly, popular and hits, but especially Home Alone 2. But, after that, they were kind of forgotten because Macaulay Culkin wasn't in them. And nothing really ever compares to the original. I will mention one other quick thing that I find amusing. People might remember the fake or the gangster movie that he watches and kind of scares the villains with. Yeah. That's actually a fake gangster movie. Angels with Filthy Souls was completely made up for the movie. Wow. So they actually used a real Tommy gun prop that they had tracked down, but that little film within a film is completely fake and made up for the movie.
There you go. Good chance this weekend. Go back, as Joe mentioned, relive it. It's celebrating its anniversary, Home Alone, today as we go to film school with Joe Fortunato. Joe, before I let you go, we're counting down just a couple of weeks away. You and I are getting together down at Jilly's on December 6th.
Yeah, and we are just a couple of weeks away, and we'll be doing Fortunato Film School Live. It's a Wonderful Life at Jilly's Music Room in downtown Akron, and that's going to be December 6th at 11 a.m. The doors will open, and we'll start the film at 11:30 a.m. And, of course, you want to come down there and be right there at 11 a.m. and enjoy Jilly's fabulous brunch. All of this entertainment and for you, come on down to December 6th. Education and entertainment, I like to say. Screen the movie with us. Start off your holidays. Enjoy a fabulous brunch. It's only $5 for tickets, and you can get tickets at my website, joefortunato.net, or at Jilly's website, or on Facebook under Fortunato Film School Live. And like I said, tickets are only $5, and if you buy a ticket, that $5 actually goes towards your brunch. So in some ways, the movie's actually free. So come on down and enjoy some brunch. You don't want to miss this one. It's a great movie. If you've never seen it, you owe yourself the treat of seeing this for the holidays. And if you have seen it, you know how wonderful it is. And you'll want to learn some of the stuff that I have to share about the movie.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to. It's one of my holiday movies. It's a can't miss for me, but I've never seen it with Joe description. And when Joe does a film school, it is something else. Looking forward to taking that.
There is one other thing, and this is a little bit of a surprise because I haven't even mentioned it to you, Ray. Yeah. But we're not going to be, we won't see the folks, or they won't hear us until after Thanksgiving. On December 1st and 2nd, I will be doing an online film school of Casablanca. And that is going to be done for a private organization at Arizona State. They have allowed me to share that with my website folks only. So if you go to my website just a few days before December 1st and 2nd, I will have the Zoom link for anyone who wants to join us for Casablanca online, Fortunato Film School. So a little something extra for the folks who go to visit joefortunato.net.
All right, my friend. Have a good Thanksgiving, okay? And we'll talk to you in a couple of weeks.
Okay, look forward to it. See you then.
You got it. Joe Fortunato takes us to film school each and every Friday morning right here on 93.5, 1590 WAKR.